Greetings everyone, I'm Endcards II, and welcome to the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 Retrospective, Episode 1. Yeah, this game came out over 10 years ago. It's hard to even describe the impact that this game had, not just on the franchise, but on honestly, the gaming world in general, because this was one of the most hyped games, probably of all time. Honestly, that sounds crazy considering this is an indie game, but the hype for it was through the roof. You had to be there, guys. If you missed out on it, I'm really sorry, but yeah, you had to be there, because the hype for this game was nuclear, which I think is one of the reasons why it didn't deliver and why the series kept going. So I'm not sure if I should feel positively about this or not, because if this game was that good, it's not in my opinion, it's one of my least favorite games, but if it was that good, maybe we wouldn't have stuff like Pizzeria Simulator, FNaF 4, and Secret of the Mimic. Some of my favorite FNAF games is just what I'm listing, but yeah, it's crazy to imagine, but we live in the world where FNAF kept going as a franchise. And FNaF 3, yeah, it's a big piece of history. It's not like I hate this game or anything, but I do not like this in general. There are a few things about the game I quite enjoy, but the main thing of this game being a horror game, right? That is the weakest part, which really brings it down. I will explain more in detail as we actually start playing. So let me reset all of my data, which will be a little bit painful, but I already backed up, so it's fine. There we go. Fresh new start, FNaF 3. There's no cutscene or anything like that. This is what you're supposed to see when you first start this game. So let's go from the beginning and read this newspaper. Fazbear's Fright, the horror attraction. Local amusement park is getting ready to scare your socks off with a new attraction based on the unsolved mysteries of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Featuring actual relics from the old decades-old pizzeria, this new attraction is guaranteed to bring back your childhood in the worst possible way. I love that sound effect. I wish Scott did more like this. We have to listen to the phone call first before I get into the really interesting stuff, but there's really nothing to do in this night.
Hey, glad you came back for another night. I promise it'll be a lot more interesting this time. We found some great new relics over the weekend, and we're out tracking down a new lead right now. So, let me just update you real quick, then you can get to work. Like, the attraction opens in like a week, so we have to make sure everything works and nothing catches on fire. When the place opens, people will come in at the opposite end of the building and work their way toward you, past you, and out the exit. Yeah, you've officially become part of the attraction. You'll be starring as a security guard. So not only will you be monitoring the people on the camera as they pass through, you know, to make sure no one steals anything or makes out in the corner, but you'll also be a part of the show. It'll make it feel really authentic, I think. Now let me tell you about what's new. We found another set of drawings, always nice, and a foxy head, which we think could be authentic. Then again, it might just be another crappy cosplay. And we found a desk fan, very old school, metal though. So watch the fingers. Right now the place is basically just, you know, flashing lights and spooky props. I honestly thought we'd have more by now. If we don't have something really cool by next week, then we may have to suit you up in a furry suit and make you walk around saying, boo. But, you know, like I said, we're trying to track down a good lead right now. Some guy who helped design one of the buildings says it was like an extra room that got boarded up, or something like that. So, we're gonna take a peek and see what we can find. For now, just get comfortable with the new setup. You can check the security cameras over to your right with the click of that blue button. You can toggle between the hall cams and the vent cams. Then over to your far left, you can flip up your maintenance panel. You know, use this to reboot any systems that may go offline. In trying to make the place feel vintage, we may have overdone it a bit. Some of this equipment is barely functional. Yeah, I wasn't joking about the fire. That's a real risk. The most important thing you want to watch for is the ventilation. Look, this place will give you the spooks, man, and if you let that ventilation go offline, then you'll start seeing some crazy stuff, man. Keep that air flowing. Okay, keep an eye on things, and we'll try to have something new for you tomorrow night.
So yeah, on the first night you get the Fast Nights cheat because Springtrap isn't here, and all the other Phantom animatronics, they're actually all tied to Springtrap's AI, so they don't exist here either. And this is one of the reasons why there's no custom night, because all of the Phantom animatronic AI is based on Springtrap's AI. Springtrap has an insanely convoluted, complex movement algorithm, formula, whatever you want to call it. And there's a lot more to mention, but the first thing I wanted to show you is this. This is night 1, and yet I'm playing BB's Air Adventure, which isn't supposed to be a thing. So this is something that I am probably the most excited about in this series, is showing you stuff like this, guys, because there's a bunch of stuff here that most people missed, because you only have seen this, probably, because, let's be honest, most FNAF fans do not play the fucking games. And you would only know this from Let's Plays and tutorials, and they only show you how to get the good ending. They don't show you all the stuff in these secret minigames. There's like a bunch of stuff that most people have not seen, and that I have discovered myself, which I think is just super cool. So, let me explain this minigame really quick. Obviously, we don't know exactly what happens, but this is some kind of representation of a theory that's become popular recently. The fact that these minigames, they actually exist in the FNAF universe. They're actual arcade cabinets that are infected, you know, haunted by the spirits and whatnot. So you can actually play them, and they're supposed to exist in universe. Like, these are not just minigames for us, but they exist in the FNAF universe. And you can play them and influence the real world, because as Fredbear, or whoever it is, we're not sure exactly who, but we're gonna get to it, but whoever speaks to us in FNAF world with dot eyes, they say that whatever happens out there has an effect on the virtual world, and it's like the other way around as well. So it's really weird. It's all metaphysical, but obviously you know what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to jump out here, and I just want to point something out that's kind of interesting, is that the exit door showed up when I collected all the balloons in this room, right? But notice how cleverly Scott has pointed you to your objective not being finished. It's at the top right corner, it says 1 balloon left, right? So you have to find 1 more balloon because your objective isn't done. Even though the exit door is open, it's fooling you into thinking you finished the game, but there's 1 more balloon left, right? So you're supposed to be confused and find a way out of this room, not going through the exit. And of course, the only way out is through here, and just keep falling. And you fall here, so there's nothing to the edge of this, nothing going on to the left. There's something going on to the right, which is extremely peculiar. And it's this image. It's extremely bizarre, but there's 3 balloon boys, which are all crying, and a tree of sorts. It's an extremely strange, extremely cool part of this game, and these minigames are my favorite part of FNAF 3, outside of maybe Springtrap, because Springtrap is my favorite FNAF character, and so I do like things about this game, but overall this game, to me, kind of a miss, which is why we needed more games. But anyway, these are actually supposed to be their own characters known as Shadow Balloon Boys. They never show up anywhere else, only in the character encyclopedia, which is a bizarre product on its own because it's not very good and it has mistakes. So I don't know how we're supposed to take that piece of brush exactly. It's not very high quality, and there was a whole debate about that when this book came out. But here is the final balloon that we're supposed to collect, right? But there's more stuff going on up there that I haven't shown you guys. By the way, this looks really weird. Huh. Anyways, we're supposed to collect this balloon, and what this accomplished is something that's really not obvious. So let's collect this balloon, and this is the end of the minigame. So you don't actually need to collect the other balloons whatsoever. You will collect them inevitably. And by the way, when you finish the minigame, it just sends you back to this night. And since I've already played this night, it's not playing the phone call again. This is how it works in this game only. But if you reload the game like this, I already showed this in previous videos, so if you're confused, just watch the previous videos in the series, and yeah, I'll explain how this works. But it's just F2, you just press F2, and as you can see, the phone call is back, but obviously we don't care about this. Let's go back to BB's Air Adventure, and you'll see something very interesting. So, collecting all these balloons does nothing that helps us achieve our goal. It only opens the door. We can still jump out. There's no requirement. You don't need these balloons at all. All the score at the top, all that is bullshit. The only thing you need to do is complete the minigame correctly. Whether you collected all the balloons, or some of the balloons, or only the last balloon, completely irrelevant. All the balloons are still here, as you can see. And the next step is also quite strange. But, you're supposed to do this minigame twice. And after you finish this minigame, so now we can access this platform with the crying child. But we cannot do anything with the crying child. Why? Because we don't have the cake. So this is just pointless. And yeah, that's one more mistake that people make. You don't need to replay the minigames. If you already played the minigame, you've completed it. So you don't have to come back. It's already marked off. And yeah, this is a soft lock in this minigame in particular. If you fall like this, you will get soft lock. But yeah, we don't need to do this right now. I was just showing you that for information's sake. Now, here's another very interesting thing, and something that Scott, in my opinion, failed at, is because all these minigames, they're all hinted at in the actual regular minigames. The secret minigames are all showed, at least they're implied in there. And if you think about it, you can figure out how to get there. But this is completely cryptic. You need to double click this poster of the marionette. And that's how you get to Happiest Day. Now, how you were supposed to figure this out is completely beyond me, because there's absolutely no clue to this action anywhere in the game as far as I can tell. As you can see, there's only one lone child there, that being, as we now know, Dave Afton. Or at least that's the now accepted name of this character. Now, why is this Dave Afton and not Cassidy? I'll explain later. it, in my opinion, makes perfect sense. Obviously, there's still debate over this, but in my opinion, this is pretty conclusive. And it goes to FNaF 4, which I'll talk about later. But as you can see, none of the children are here because we haven't given them cake yet. And what this minigame does, because it's accessible through every night, is actually tell us how far along we are. And more interestingly, it will show us which minigame freed which child, because we know all of the names of the children. So I think this will be extremely interesting for you to see, because I don't think anyone has ever mentioned this before in any FNaF video that I've ever watched, and I have watched fucking many FNaF videos, okay? So this is just something that I think is extremely cool. There's no way out of this minigame other than going all the way through the exit, and obviously you could also reload the application by pressing F2, which is what I was doing earlier. But anyways, one more thing I wanted to point out before we're out of here. Look at these masks are very interesting, because this looks like Happy Frog, this looks like Pork Patch or Pig Patch. I'm not sure. I'm confused the two. There's one character named that in FNaF World, and the other is from Pizza Sim and Ultimate Custom Night, and I confused them. But anyways, there's Mr. Hippo and a blue character that we do not know who this is, and also Orville. So all of these fit the existing mediocre melodies, except for this one, which is really bizarre, because why did Scott make all these characters which fit the masks from this minigame years after, and not find a single blue character that he could have made? I don't know. It's strange, and it's not confirmed whether these are the mediocre melodies, but I mean, this is the best guess, right? So yeah, let's just go to the exit. I just found this interesting. Now, I don't actually think there's a night skip in this game. We cannot do the next step, unfortunately, in the Happiest Day quest. We don't have access to Mangle's quest, and that needs to be done on night 2. It's only available on night 2. So these two minigames, BB's Air Adventure and Happiest Day, are accessible on every single night. Every other minigame is night dependent, which is very interesting. I don't know why Balloon Boy had to be available this early on, but it is. And that's something you guys will probably only hear from this series. So keep following the FNaF Retrospective. I have a lot more cool info to share about these minigames and other facts about this game in this series, because I find these factoids among the most interesting, because no one ever mentions this except for me, I guess. So there you go. This is some Elite Bowl knowledge, and you can feel cool knowing this, I suppose. Wait, there's a bunch of Easter eggs in this location. They're kind of hard to get, but similar to the other games, some of the posters get replaced. There's a poster here that will be replaced by Golden Cupcake sometimes, which is not a character we really ever see again. This poster sometimes gets replaced with Spring Bonnie. Those are the ones that I remember for sure. There's probably more going on. This looks like Freddy, obviously. On the arcade here, this looks like Bonnie, so it's a really actually well-designed location, but I'm not too big of a fan of how this game looks in general. I think it's way too green. I think it needed to have some other colors, like rusty browns, maybe grays, yellows, you know, just more variety, maybe some grays here and there. Keep going with the theme, obviously, like this is a rotten place, right, and putrid and all that kind of stuff, but hey, there's a cupcake Easter egg. Look at that. I didn't expect to get that. But this camera isn't something that we really use a lot. And the Easter egg is still loaded, by the way. I wonder if there's anything else loaded in this map that we can take a look at. There's not much else going on, honestly, in terms of these camera Easter eggs, but there's a couple fun ones. And it's still the cupcake, so if we refresh, now it's Toy Bonnie. So that's how it works. It's going to stay loaded until you click, and it's going to reload. I wonder if we can use this to, like, trigger the other ones. So I don't know everything about this game. There's a couple of things that I don't know exactly, but there's a couple other Easter eggs. For example, Paper Pals in this office can appear, or Shadow Freddy on the far left. I've never gotten that one, unfortunately. And obviously the honker, which I've already done earlier in the episode. Now, something that's fun is the map. So this map is featured in Secret of the Mimic, and this is the most recent that we've seen this map as of me recording this video, and we don't really know what it means, but it's weird. It's interesting lore, I guess. And also this map, if you turn it around, it kind of looks like Scott's logo, the running man from the game There's No Pause Button, which I actually showed in the previous episode in the series. And I forgot to mention this exactly. Actually, I forgot to mention this, but there's a troll game. That was the first troll game in this franchise. They came out before FNaF 3. That's why the hype was so crazy. There was a troll game, and it was just There Is No Pause Button, reskinned, the Freddy mask on top of the main character icon there, and with troll music playing on top. And I played this, and I showed this off in the last episode of the FNaF 2 retrospective because it's leading into this game, but I would not have started this playthrough of the third game with the troll game. I don't think that would have made a lot of sense, but if you want to see that, it's in the previous video, so just check that out if you want. I remember this game being so insanely hyped. Obviously, Scott continued with his very successful teaser strategy. He was dropping just like simple offline teasers at the beginning, which we're saying like offline. And then if you brighten it up, there's a 3 in the corner. But he started adding more stuff, like he showed this map off, and then when you brighten that up, you see the vents, and we did not know what that meant originally. But obviously this is the FNaF 1 location, and actually the timeline of this is extremely interesting, because look at the animatronics. They have buttons on them, right? And this kind of makes them look more like the withered animatronics. So what if this is implying that this is when the animatronics got disassembled from their withered look from FNaF 2, and then they got reassembled and refurbished to look like the classics from 1985. Food for thought. But we don't know exactly when this game takes place, and as you can see, the tables are here in front of, technically layered on top of it. There's a bunch of stuff like this in this minigame, but I do like all the details, like this rumbling, it's atmospheric, it's more definitely detailed than the previous games. There's like mice running around, there's puddles and other details in this minigame, but this is the back room, obviously, with the spare parts of the animatronics. Not all the details are present, but it's pretty representative of what it looks like. So eventually you will run into this guy, which is Purple Freddy, or more commonly known as Shadow Freddy. And he will teleport just to basically guide you throughout the place to the safe room. Now this is what I was mentioning earlier. These are the hints. BBDBL click. For some reason, Markiplier thought this said don't be lick cock. He was probably just trying to be funny, but this is obviously telling, hey, BB double click. That's what this was meaning, obviously. And this is the pattern on the arcade cabinet of how to get Mangle's quest. So this is showing us that we need to do both of these actions on the same night. But what they don't show is that we need to come back to the BB minigame to finish that. BB is Air Adventure, which also I forgot to mention, but I love a lot of the music in these minigames as well. So I'm going to be doing 2 nights in this video. Hopefully it's not too long, but this is obviously the office with the fan. And just because this is in the FNaF 1 location doesn't mean this takes place at the same time as FNaF 1. Also, Freddy is overlaying the follow me text. I just noticed. It's not that entertaining, I guess, but for me, guys, oh my god. Holy shit, that actually got me. I took too long. So yeah, this happens. I wanted to show you this intentionally, but it happened by accident, and it scared the absolute shit out of me. Oh my god, that actually scared me.
Hey man, okay, I have some awesome news for you. First of all, we found some vintage audio training cassettes. Dude, these are like prehistoric. I think they were like training tapes for like other employees or something like that. So I thought we could like have them playing like over the speakers as people walk through the attraction. Dude, that makes this feel legit, man. But I have an even better surprise for you. You're not gonna believe this. We found one. A real one. Gotta go, man. Well look, it's in there somewhere. I'm sure you'll see it. Okay, I'll leave you with some of this great audio that I found. Talk to you later, man. Hello? Welcome to your new career as a performer/entertainer for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. These tapes will provide you with much-needed information on how to handle/climb into/climb out of mascot costumes. Right now, we have 2 specially designed suits that double as both animatronic and suit. So please pay close attention while learning how to operate these suits, as accidents/injury/death/irreparable and grotesque maiming can occur. First, we will discuss how to operate the mascots when they are in animatronic form. For ease of operation, the animatronics are set to turn and walk towards sound cues. This is an easy and hands-free approach to making sure the animatronics stay where the children are for maximum entertainment/crowd-pleasing value. To change the animatronics to suit mode, insert and turn firmly the hand crank provided by the manufacturer. Turning the crank will recoil and compress the animatronic parts around the sides of the suit, providing room to climb inside. Please make sure the spring locks are fastened tight to ensure the animatronic devices remain fixed. We will cover this in more detail in tomorrow's session. Remember to smile. You are the face of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
So yeah, I didn't want to interrupt the phone call. There's a lot of information there, and I'm going to dive deeper into the phone calls later, because there's some of the most interesting stuff in this game. And I was just passively playing because, I mean, this is easy. This is night 2. But he's already climbing into vents. He's very slow, though, because this is night 2, like I said. So yeah, it's not that bad. But yeah, since this is night 2, we do gotta do some of those minigames. So let's go back to here. Oh, wow. I almost got that. By the way, you can see the throbbing at the right. It's like not lining up exactly. I do like that Scott added these like flashing lights in the cameras of this game. It does make it more atmospheric. We haven't really played audio yet, but yeah, that's how it works. It only works in adjacent rooms, and there's also pathways that you aren't always seeing. For example, this is too far away. Room 4 and 5 is too far away, but room 2 and 5 is close enough for him to get lured. Room 1 is too far away for everything, so he's not gonna go there. Let me just do this really quick. Oh, look at that. He just climbed into the vent. There's a bunch of sound effects. By the way, these were not originally in the game. Scott added them in a later update, like these moaning sound effects. So people can actually even easier tell where Springtrap went, because there's a couple ways. If you haven't noticed yet, there's a very big static that happens every time Springtrap moves. So if you catch him on the camera, you can then click to the next camera and see which camera he moved to, if you're quick about it. And if you catch him in the act of movement. There's a couple other ways of telling where Springtrap is. And I've been avoiding Balloon Boy because I do not want to get a ventilation error. But we're not here for this. This is very easy, right? Let's just play the damn minigame. As always, there's nothing going on here right now because we haven't gotten the cake yet. But we did get all the balloons, which we will need later. So what we need to do is we need Mangle to get the cake. Then we come back to this minigame and we give the cake to the child, which I don't know what child that is, but we will find out. And as you can see here, yeah, this is the same situation as before. If we just go down, yeah, so we're not soft locked, and we just gotta go to the right, which, by the way, the coloration of Balloon Boy is kind of bizarre in this minigame. He doesn't look exactly like the colors of his actual model, but whatever. And we just get this. Now, another detail that's very, very, very interesting is who we're playing as in these minigames, right? And I'm gonna come back to that later. But first, let's just get to the Mangle's quest. I'm just gonna YOLO this. I'm not sure exactly how it goes. Okay, it's these ones. Okay, so yeah, it was that easy. Just like top, bottom on the left, and then top, bottom on the right. This is an interesting minigame as well, because first of all, the music in this minigame was actually not found for a very long time. Someone made a video about this, FNaF creator made a video about this, and people eventually found this music box. Needless to say, you do not need to collect these parts. All of these objectives, they're all fake objectives. You don't actually need to get any of these things to progress. All they do is they open the exit door, which is the fake exit door. This is not the real objective. We're not here for this. What we're actually here to do is we're meant to clip through the wall and get the cake. Let me first show you what happens when the kid gets you and you get disassembled. Oh no, which is obviously a FNAF 2 reference. So it's kind of weird if we assume that this is an official minigame in the FNAF universe, an official arcade game, that they made it part of the character, that they're broken and they're supposed to be put back together, and someone actually created this as an arcade game for the kids, which is kind of weird to imagine, but it's been pretty much confirmed because in one of the recent FNAF books, which I didn't read, but that's what I've heard about it, it's a plot point that there's these games that are distorted and they like turn creepy because of the hauntings going on. So that's the implication, is that that theory is correct, which I wasn't sure about, but I kind of like this as a theory. I think it's pretty valid and makes sense. Obviously, we're not supposed to go through the exit door. That's just going to end the minigame. But this is the only minigame where you can actively lose, which I find interesting. And that was not in the previous minigame. But yeah, this is something that's really bizarre. One of my actually favorite images in the franchise is this really creepy silhouette of a puppet-looking thing with, again, long tear streaks, which is a common visual motif in the series. But this is also apparently a character, according to the FNAF Encyclopedia. Never shows up again, but this is just shadow puppet. Okay, I guess. Whatever you say, Scott. One more thing that you probably have not seen is to the left here. It's nothing that interesting, but hey, there's a whole frame here with the exit door. So Scott thought this through. If you did something wrong and you didn't collect the balloons first, there's an exit door, so you don't have to like crash the game or whatever to exit. You could just go through the door. But most people have not seen that, so I'm just showing you because I think it's kind of cool. So you can skip some of the steps. You can just go up here, then you could go up here, and you can skip that one to the right. You can just go up here. Yeah, just do some simple platforming and you will get the cake. Very bizarre minigame, but there you go, Mangle's quest. And we're back into the night. And then we gotta get back to BB's Air Adventure now. So what I wanted to show you in this series, actually, is can you get the good ending before the bad ending? The quote-unquote good ending, right? Can you get it before the bad ending? You will find out by the end. I'm not gonna spoil this right now because I want you to watch these videos, but let's get to the Balloon Boy. Okay, so now that we've done that, let me actually try not collect any balloons if I can. Well, I have to collect those 3. But like I said, this is a fake objective. It doesn't actually do anything. It's just there for Scott to, first of all, fool you at first, but then give you a hint as to what to do actually. So now we have the cake. And now that we have the cake, we can do something here. And what we can do is comfort this crying child. Hey, this is always so fun and so cool. I really like this part of this game. So now that we've done that, there's nothing else on this night that is pertaining to the minigames. So all we have to do is survive against Springtrap and a couple phantom animatronics. I'm not sure who exactly is here except for Balloon Boy. There's also a few animatronics that only show up on specific cameras. Phantom Mangle only shows up on this camera, which actually looks really weird. And is that Golden Freddy? I don't think I've ever noticed that. That's kind of cool. Phantom Chica shows up only on this camera. Phantom Marionette shows up only on this camera. I think that's pretty much it. I know Balloon Boy can show up only in certain cameras, and something that is kind of fun, and you'll see this later when I play the game, but his Springtrap is in this part of the room, and you try to audio lure him out of there. His Springtrap is near the killing stage. You can actually lure him to this camera, but almost all the time when you try to do that, Balloon Boy will spawn on this camera, and if you're not used to it, you're gonna get fucked up. But I've played this game enough to the point that I know this will happen. So that's just a fun quirk of this game about Balloon Boy, but it's pretty randomized. Usually Balloon Boy will spawn on like a few specific cameras, the useful cameras basically. The way I play this game is just I just ignore the cameras that I do not need. Now these early nights do not have all the phantoms, so I'm not scared of getting Phantom Chica or Phantom Marionette, so I'm not that worried. But on the later nights, I'm just going to ignore those cameras to not get jump scared. And yeah, that's basically it. You do not want to get jump scared by the phantoms, because what they do is they cause the ventilation error. What the ventilation error actually does, nothing related to this by the way, your vents will still be locked, and none of that stuff is changed whatsoever. So the Springtrap is here, let's just close this vent. There's not much to say, he'll just go to the connected camera if you play an audio lure there, because that's what Springlock animatronics are like. Oh my god, thanks Steam, I guess. And also another thing that happens is that the ventilation error in most nights, except for night 6 because of a coding mistake, over time you will get a ventilation error. And now, yeah, I didn't fix it in time, so now I'm getting the blaring, which is a whole separate thing. And if I have errors going for too long, or if I get a jump scare by Phantom Animatronic, it's going to start blacking out. And that's dangerous, considering where Springtrap might be. Okay, he's still on camera 8, so it's not a problem. Now, he does have multiple positions on most cameras, which is also pretty cool, but he's pretty hard to find, and that's one of the strengths of this game, is they actually have to look for him, unless you are like me and you've played this game for hours on end, and you know every location that he can be at, and you know all the renders of Springtrap. Now, let me see if he went to 9. No, he didn't, so all I do is I basically just close the vents that I need to close. There's no need to play an audio lure unless he gets actually really close. And you can tell when he gets close because he plays a specific sound. And that's how this game is basically, oh, there we go. This is the sound. That means he's in camera 5 now. Lure him to camera 6 and you're good. The second you hear that, one of two things is happening. Either Phantom Freddy is crossing the window, and that's one of the main problems with that character. That's why he's difficult, is because he fucks up you knowing where Springtrap is, because he plays the same audio and it overlaps, so you do not know where Springtrap is exactly. The second thing is obviously Springtrap is in camera 5 or closer, and there's something even more specific, because when Springtrap is in camera 2 or closer, the audio is louder. Same audio, but you can tell, if you play this game for long enough, you can tell the difference. And the video error is just caused by you looking at the tablet too much, and that's kind of how this game works. Now, it's all a bit randomized, it depends on a couple of things here and there. Sometimes the fixing timers are random as well. I actually do not know where he is. Okay, he's there, yeah. So he didn't really go anywhere. It's basically about knowing which cameras connect to which ventilation. He needs to be locked in advance. But obviously on these early nights, since he's pretty slow, you can just listen for the vent sound, and if you can find the vent he's in, you can close it pretty fast. But on the later nights, you have to do it preemptively. There's no other way. He's still in this 7-6 area, 7-6-8. You know that when he made that sound, he moved to a different room. So it's either room 6 or room 8 because they're attached. Room 8? No. Room 6 then. He's in room 6. But he just moved again. As you can see, there's static on this camera, which means he moved. He's either in room 7 or 5, but there's no audio, so I know he's in room 7. There he is. So it's actually really easy to track Springtrap when you know how this game works. I'm not going to go into like excessive detail on it. I'm just letting you know like the basics of Springtrap, and it's really not that difficult once you get to know it. And this game is really shallow, I think, in terms of gameplay, because once you know the game, it's really easy. It's just basically random chance. And this game is very, very, very heavily luck-based. Sometimes Springtrap is just a piece of shit asshole. Sometimes you just get fucked, and you can't do anything about it, especially in aggressive nightmare mode where Springtrap is lightning fast. Sometimes Springtrap for a whole hour straight will go into the same sealed vent and back out of the same sealed vent, and you don't have to do anything. Other times he sprints across the fucking building right to you, and you have no chance of surviving that. So yeah, it's kind of bullshit. But let's end the video with this final minigame, and then I'll go back to night 3 and show you more stuff, because there's more stuff to see. Sorry if my thoughts are like jumbled. I wanted to do some prehistory, I wanted to do a bunch of other stuff, but this is the first episode, there's like a lot to cover. Before we follow him, hopefully not get jump scared this time, is let's check what's in the left hole. There's only one instruction, the 4 cupcakes. He'll teleport like this just to let you know where he needs to be followed. So those are the shadow cupcakes, and that's how you get to the minigame on the next night. And the next minigame is very interesting because it's actually related to something big in Secret of the Mimic, and something that has been a mystery in this franchise for 9 years until Secret of the Mimic. So I'm very excited to show you that. But yeah, I'm just gonna play this minigame the way it's supposed to be played. So Freddy is here even though he got killed in a different place. So obviously if you remember the map of FNaF 1, you know the layout. These are the restrooms, and this is the extra room that Phone Guy has not mentioned yet, but Phone Dude has mentioned on the first night. He was talking to one of the architects, and they said that there's a room that got boarded up. This is the room. This is the safe room. And this is a big piece of lore in this game in particular. But yeah, this is what happens. I think if you're fast enough, there is a way to cross into the next room. Purple guy will still kill you, so it's not like a way to save yourself or anything, but I think it's a fun Easter egg to do in that minigame. I wanted to show you a couple more things in those minigames. Not that there's a lot to see. Funny purple guy behavior, which I got unintentionally the first time, but I wanted to show you intentionally. So yeah, there's a timer thing. If you take too long, he will just get you eventually because you're taking too long. And something that John Wolf pointed out when he was playing this game is that this is a reference to the really old pixelated game called Ski Free, where a Yeti comes out of the corner similarly in a very scary fashion. So I've got to take the loss on this night. There's shadow cupcakes throughout the location. We just need to find them. Oh, and this is the linking that I was talking about earlier. Something about the ventilation error, interestingly, I mentioned before, and I'm sorry I keep losing track of my thoughts, but it doesn't do what you expect it to do. And this is because this game is really poorly telegraphing to you its mechanics. What the ventilation error actually does is something I'll explain in the next episode. But for today, that's it, guys. Don't forget to smash subscribe, ring my bell, and as always, stay